What's up, everybody? We're going to be talking about trade shows. In cannabis, there's one or two or several, and they might be coming to a state near you. We're going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico at CannaCon, and so we have somebody from CannaCon on, Angela Grelle. She's the director of marketing at CannaCon on this episode of It's 420 Somewhere, so let's get going on it. Hey, Angela. Thanks for joining us on 420 Somewhere.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with CannaCon. So what is CannaCon?
So basically, we're a large convention, business to business focused, where you can find everything you need to grow, package, process, sell, market cannabis. So everything, we like to say from seed to sale, and everything in between is what you can find at CannaCon. So we'll have some of the world's best genetics. We'll have packaging equipment, processing equipment. There will be accountants, and there will be marketing companies there, magazines, basically everything you need to have a cannabis business.
Yep. So you guys are one of the first ones I know of that started doing this convention style for cannabis companies. I went to one of the first ones here in Seattle, and I was surprised to see scale companies, actually logistics, or even the extraction company manufacturers, or even tech companies that were there. And I think it was the third year that I attended. You guys even had Yelp at one point attending. Yeah, so it's all things to run a business, and really, it's a mass networking on doing that. What was the inspiration for doing that too?
When Bob started the company, Bob Smart, the founder of CannaCon, when he started the company, he had worked in the trade show industry prior to, and he also was a home grower in the medical market for cannabis. And so he just put the two things together, and he said, we have B2B trade shows for everything. Why don't we have one for people in the cannabis industry? And so he started it.
That's awesome. What year was this?
I do believe that was 2014.
Because way back, 2014.
Way back.
That was the first year of legal cannabis.
Yep.
For both Colorado and Washington State. And you guys were out of the Seattle area?
Yeah, the first CannaCon was at the Tacoma Dome, actually.
Oh, yeah. Cool. And then, then later on you had one up in Seattle by on the pier. They're really nice events to see the evolution of business when it comes to cannabis, like things I never thought would be happening when it comes to B2B things, integration of, if I'm going to own a store, I need to talk to a packaging guy or a cashier guy. Those are things.
They're dependencies in your business. When you're running a company, like I have vendors, and so does that cannabis company. And if you have lights, they might break, or anything. If whatever you're doing in the industry, it's highly regulated. So there's a lot of different dependencies or vendors that you need to operate.
And it's funny because as it's progressed over the years, we've seen more and more mainstream businesses branching into the cannabis space. So people that do payroll processing, people that have ADT security, they exhibited almost every event. Train air conditioning, we've had Sprint and T-Mobile as exhibitors because everybody needs a phone system in their office space. Everybody needs a security system. Avery Print and Label, who's in every Staples store, they do packaging for cannabis companies now.
Yeah, that's one of my little go-to secrets when people are like, is my hemp stuff compliant? I'm like, Avery Labels. They have a whole division for this. And so because the federal compliance for a lot of the edible products that the hemp market would need, or at a particular state level, they can also put in the little warnings and stuff if the market's large enough. But fascinating that they have that, and then it just makes it really easy to create your packaging and labeling, so they are pretty compliant without spending $3,000 on a lawyer to look at everything you've done. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been really interesting too to watch some of the companies that started out, see like somebody like Futurola, when they first started exhibiting with us, they would have just like a small table with one little small rolling machine sitting out there. And now they just have all these massive products and giant booths and
Yep.
Apparently it works, right? Like they're getting sales from showing their $100,000 equipment or whatever. But and the other thing I get from these conventions is also like almost insider. Like when I mentioned Yelp, I was surprised to see Yelp there, and I was like, "What's the deal? Are you guys now?" She's like, "Legal states. We're here to fill it out," and that was going to be a huge thing against Weed Maps, right? Weed Maps dominated with fluctuating prices, and Yelp is like 10.99 for a business or something.
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
things like that, totally. You work that conversation and figure out what's your options are for advertising or anything else.
Yeah. And I think also from the exhibitor side too, it's really when you're trying to decide where to put your marketing dollars as a person that does the marketing for this company, if I could go put myself in front of 5,000 people that were directly in the line of business that I'm doing and speak to them in person, that's a much better way for me to spend $3,000 or $5,000 than to put a couple print ads in a magazine.
Oh, absolutely. The price point on it's expensive, but then that's me as a small business and as a lawyer with a single shop. If you're a large company that has that type of inventory or like a T-Mobile or something, your marketing budgets are a lot, and then you're getting qualified people who one in this industry are already in this industry enough that they've spent money on tickets to go to this thing. So it's not just your average PPC click that you get off the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
We're really stoked about checking out one here, though. Miggy and I just, over the course of this weekend, I finished the booking process, and I still need to find my credit card to pay for it, but I have until May 5th. We're going to be in Albuquerque. So is this the next show that you guys have? Do you have one before Albuquerque?
No, this is the next show that we have. That's what I was just in New Mexico all week last week, meeting up with people, getting some on the ground marketing going, dropping off posters and flyers and swag and all of that kind of stuff. Putting
Yeah,
out for the after parties, all the fun
oh,
things.
cool.
Oh,
Well, we
yeah.
got to go there. Where's this after party thing? But also, Miggy and I have got a room, and then we got airfare. So we'll be there, man. And
Okay.
totally, because New Mexico has been so nice to the office, and I have a lot of clients down there. It's an open market state. It's open for business, and I think that you're going to have a good turnout as a result of that. Like in other states, Missouri's an open and shut, kind of like we're not taking licenses right now. Our licenses are going to be from July 27th through August 10th. Like it's a week of craziness. When it's an open market state, you can actually get an ecosystem of entrepreneurs that want in the space. So I'm interested to see what's going to come out of New Mexico in the coming years.
It seems to be a really interesting market there. I think they've done a fairly good job with the way that they've implemented their program, having seen the way a lot of other states have rolled things out. It seems like it's a pretty steady rollout and a pretty even keeled market, which is
I'm looking forward to seeing it out there too. Seeing recreational markets in each state evolve. Like I was talking earlier, I was in California last week and I saw some traditional and recreational market, but anytime I go to a state, like I went to Arizona, drove through it last year, had to stop at a store just to see what the experience was like and then the quality of the flower, which wasn't very good. But the New Mexico market wasn't existent yet. And so it's going to be neat to see all these guys that were really excited to do something. But I'd also be remiss too that your conventions, not just like the business side of things, but you guys like previously I've seen have advocates speak or old legacy people have a forum and whatnot, education wise. So I think that's cool.
yeah, we do. We'll have seminars going all day, both days that will range everything from how to deal with tax issues in the cannabis industry, because that's difficult for everybody. To we've got Mike from Exotic Genetics who's going to come talk about genetics and the importance of having good genetics and just tips and tricks that he's learned over the years. And we've got people that'll come in and talk about the importance of automation in your grow facility and humidity control and
All essential.
all the things you need to know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's all
'cause-
important.
and then you have states like Miggy and I are in a lottery right now. Miggy's Pot Shop has a 9% chance of being a thing. Because of like the number of licenses that are there and the number of people that bought a ticket. And we'll see how that happens. But in this industry where it's a crapshoot. In Washington State, that was a crapshoot. Like you guys won the lottery, you didn't. And as a result, I think that kind of leaves a lot of the operators a little unprepared. It's like, oh crap, I didn't put too much thought into this. It was just it was a lottery.
I think that's really true. But then you also get states like Oklahoma where they just leave it wide open and accessible to literally everyone. And then you end up with such an overabundance of licensed farms and processors and dispensaries that then now they're in a situation where it's just not sustainable.
And they didn't vote to legalize it. That was the bucking of the trend.
Yeah.
The regulations might start coming to Oklahoma. They started with none, and now they might have some. But the free market is there. The problem then becomes it's not like any other thing. Oh no, my restaurant went out of business. You're selling the inventory out the back, and so then it has the diversion problem when they have it be that open. I don't know. I think how Michigan and Massachusetts, New Jersey's approaching it the same way, and New Mexico as well, where they allow the licenses to, operate, but there are regulations. There's rules. There's tracking, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, Oklahoma's starting to put some regulations in, which is also putting some people out of business because they think they weren't prepared for the amount of work that it was going to take to be compliant with things.
Yeah. So, is there? So, I guess you scoped out the area while you were down there in New Mexico. Is there like a pot shop walking distance?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, nice. There's actually a lot of stores in New Mexico, and I'm trying to compile a list and get some little CannaCon discounts going. So I'll throw that up on social media, I'm sure, at some point in time between now and the show. But I usually try and find the local shops. They're usually happy to give a discount and get some extra clientele in there.
Oh, sure.
If they can. Like sometimes I thought regulations don't allow discounts. I'm not sure if you're allowed to have coupons for weed in Illinois.
Yeah, some states do and some states don't. My understanding is that in New Mexico they can.
But it's for an event, though, so it's different. You're not really covered by the governing body.
Yeah, but every state's different. Every state's got their own little rules.
Speaking of discounts, are we going to get a discount?
Yes. If we can get discounts, I will make sure.
Go there, wherever that is.
Yeah.
We do. We'll share the link. We'll actually have a bit.ly. And so we have a link that we've turned into a bit.ly, and that'll be the comment that is pinned right down there. So you can easily access it and totally come hang out with Tom and Miggy in Albuquerque. We'll find out where that wrong turn that Bugs Bunny got done in by is.
$500, I'll wear a bunny suit. Oh, I got a price.
Goodness.
I got a price.
Look, because if you give me 18 days to find somebody to pay me $500 so that you wear a bunny suit, you're probably wearing a bunny suit to this thing.
I got a price. It ain't cheap.
Yeah. We are going to have a new membership level on the show, bunny level. And then if YouTube lets us do it, I'll put it out there. We'll promote it on the next episode. One of our viewers might pay $500 to see Miggy in a bunny suit.
I would wear it. It gotta be a nice suit, though. I wouldn't want to just put like weird ass ears on. I want to be able to flex on it. And
the proceeds of the $500 will be made available for Miggy to purchase this bunny suit, by the way.
That's the same thing. You gotta be on top of it. I'm not cheap.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that we get to go. And then one of the aspects about these events, not only do you have all the vendors at the booths, Then do you guys have a lot of seminars and learning that's going on as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So both days from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. is when the show's open. So there'll be seminars that run all day, both days.
Cool. And then after events too, as well, for
Yep.
both days.
And then there's always lots of after events. The main after party will be Friday. I'm working out the final details on that. There'll be a smaller networking event on Thursday evening, and then there'll be a big after party that Mountaintop Extracts is throwing on Friday. And then I'm sure there'll be multiple other small networks.
Are you working with Fairchild this time?
We are not working with Fairchild this time.
Tom, that's another Washington State brand. This gentleman used to own a dope magazine, sold to High Times, and then he's into entertainment. So that's an event thing that he has for weed events, like the networking for weed events, just like to hang out and have a place to smoke. That was always a concern for even the CannaCon ones out here. You want to be in the rules, but also you're a fucking weed event. If this was a beer event, you wouldn't mind a beer garden anywhere, but they had the bus a couple times. That was fun.
Yeah, Levi Lyon, he would always bring that bus out and we would have that out there for people to smoke on. Albuquerque, apparently at this particular venue that they're booking for the party, they'll have an outdoor smoking section.
Very cool.
People can smoke. So
Yeah. That's what they do for cigarette smokers. They banned all the smoking on in the inside, and then all the bars just built an area out back for the people to smoke in. So why can't they? Sometimes the public use, though, is built into legalizing, like possession limits and public use is built into legalizing it. So I don't think it's really legal, even in my state. Like you're allowed to have an ounce of the product, and you have to buy it for like $60 an ounce or an eighth, and then that's before tax, and that's what's legal.
That's expensive. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you're lucky, you can get one for 40.
Not good for
before
patients
tax.
at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Mississippi was really outrageously priced like that. We just did the last event we did was in Biloxi, Mississippi, and their regulations are rough.
Do they have stores?
They're getting there.
Yeah, they're just now opening stores. It's medical, and it's really time consuming and expensive for people to get medical licenses there, which I think is really difficult because a lot of these people are on fixed incomes, especially if they're disabled. They don't have the money to go spend $300-400 to get a medical license, and then the product is so expensive after that it makes it really almost worthwhile for people. They're just going to continue with the black market.
Seriously, that's a horrible barrier.
Yeah. I'm in a state that it's the same way, but then California, to a certain extent, is also like that. Miggy was just back from Southern California and was regaling us with stories of how the traditional market down there is keeping up with the regulated market. And so I think until we have uniformity, and so like there's no state that you can slip product to, like the bootlegging of alcohol is pretty much gone, with maybe the exception of Kentucky. No?
I'll make moonshine.
I think that we have to make sure that when they do pass federal legalization, which will happen eventually, that they also get the taxation, because if they continue to tax so heavily, that's going to just push the black market too.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because the product can only cost so much to make. And then that's the same price, maybe less, depending on the regulation that the person who's doing it without a license has to do. There's a price point where beyond that, you really can't make it any cheaper. And then you have all these taxes on top of it. I don't know. It's taking forever.
It's going to be crazy, though, when all the states do, because they're going to have to all reevaluate their taxes, right? Because now you have the federal tax on top of the state tax is already screwing the growers and everybody over. Wow. We're so dependent on that money now for funding. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm stuck here in Texas where we just have the worst program imaginable. So.
You guys just had an application window that closed 2 days ago. I don't know if that's freedom, bro. And so if there, it's a hemp program, and then the only it was like Georgia or Florida. And so like you're talking like super, or like even Alabama was kind of like that, super licenses, where the people have to, they call it a dispensary, ironically enough, but it's not. It's
No.
the whole thing. It's a vertical integration, and then the application fee about $7,500, and then if you win, 350,000, something like that.
Damn.
And then you have to get operational. No patients out there. You're not allowed to use THC. No flower. So you're
Yeah.
just going to be going for years.
Yeah, it's like what, 0.5% or less THC by volume. So the way it works here is you could technically ingest enough to get a buzz.
Right.
But then at that point, I was speaking with a doctor who does recommendations. Recently, I was up in Austin trying to lobby for more reasonable regulations here.
Nice.
But, the doctor that I was lobbying with, he was telling me he has patients, and he's got a lady, she has cancer, and she's ingesting all these gummies, which is just full of sugar and all kinds of other stuff that she doesn't need to be consuming. It's already hard for her to eat because she's going through chemo, and the program is just terrible.
RSO. If she had RSO, she wouldn't have to consume so much food product. And just,
but the regulations won't allow it.
Exactly. That's horrible.
And because it's a certain amount by volume, you really have to ingest a large amount to really get 5 or 10 milligrams or something.
Oh,
well, I was just watching the legalization in Minnesota. That one's fresh. It was just last Friday. And according to some of the Republicans on the floor, divorce is caused by cannabis legalization and use. And so I am just curious, in Texas, everybody stays married down there?
No. And I've been married for 30 years, so I don't think that divorce happened in my situation.
Right? And you're a consumer.
Oh my gosh, it's like they're just making it up.
Yeah, it was silly, that whole...
I don't know what they're so afraid of, but they're just so afraid of weed. People drink like crazy here in Texas. Like alcohol is just the vibe. That's what
they
do. They go eat and drink and party, but the point, God forbid.
God forbid they'd try to relax and say, no, hang on, I got something else. We don't need to have that last round and get completely smashed, everybody. I got a joint. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Seriously, though.
The majority of the actual people that live in Texas are all for legalization. It's just the handful that aren't, and then our legislature who meets every 2 years. So that doesn't help either.
We didn't fix it this year. We'll revisit it in 2 years. Oh.
Yeah. But you guys only get a bad rap because of you guys as people in charge, right? Because Texas really is purple. Austin, you have a predominance, and it's just a matter of how you guys are gerrymandered or whatever laid out. No, that's just crazy.
I was sitting at a bar in Austin, actually, when I was up there lobbying. I was eating dinner, and the gentleman sitting next to me was during South by Southwest, so there were 1 million people there. And he asked me if I was there by South by, and I was like, no, I'm here lobbying for cannabis. And then he started talking to me, and he goes, I don't do drugs, while he's literally chugging alcohol. And I'm like,
awesome.
It's just hilarious how clueless they are. It's just like they have no idea that what they just said was probably the most ironic thing I'll hear all day.
Right? Like, I get up and I drink coffee in the morning. That's my drug of choice in the morning to get me going, to get through my morning.
Oh, yeah.
The lack of self-awareness.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if he wasn't cannabinoid deficient, he'd have more self-awareness. That's the problem.
Maybe so.
He doesn't want that self-awareness. But the ability for us to get together and network is one of the aspects that I am trying to put more into the marketing budget at the company in the next few quarters. as it is the interaction, not only with your potential customers, but also your peers that are also existing in this industry by selling services to people that want in, whether that's getting a license or getting an odor mitigation system after they have a license.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to getting back on the road. I'll never be like Tony, though, over at Sapphire. I don't think he's ever off the road. That guy's like the Grateful Dead.
Is that another lawyer?
No, he's Sapphire Security, and so
Oh,
he'll be doing a lot of security plans in highly regulated states where there is a security requirement.
oh, got
New
you.
Mexico was quiet on that.
But I think it just goes to proof in the pudding that these conventions do work for people in business. Right? Like if you're buying a $200 pass, what does they say? When you're marketing, you're trying to market depending on your product, people who have boats, right? That's who, because if they're going to buy a boat, they can buy your services, whatever that is, like legal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's a great thing. And watching you guys like grow has been cool. Like just seeing your success, and I can't wait to go to New Mexico and check it out.
Yeah, we're
What
excited.
about Detroit?
Detroit is actually, and I shouldn't probably say this, but that is my favorite show that we do. I love the city of Detroit. I have the most fun at that show every time.
I can bring the family to this one, so I'm not sure if you want to go to Detroit, Miggy, but that one's in October, and then the other one is in
Long Beach.
Long Beach. I shouldn't have hit register to attend. Okay, there it is. August 5th, somewhere in there. August 4th and 5th. Yeah, that sounds great. I gotta get Missouri closed and have a small vacation with the family. Otherwise, I'd be up for that one.
See, then you should come to the Detroit show.
Detroit
sounds
works out
cool.
well. My girl's family's from around that area, and so we'd be able to make it a dual stop.
Michigan is beautiful, and the people in the industry there are just really welcoming and kind. We've been going to Detroit for several years now. I think we were the first show that did something in Detroit. So Michigan is like a special show for me. I just adore that show.
Michigan's got a lot of cannabis culture. There's a lot of history out there. And I imagine you guys starting in Seattle, same thing. Even the guys behind it. We talked about, I know Dave Dammit, who was a longtime volunteer at Seattle Hemp Fest. So once you got into Seattle Hemp Fest, it's little circles, you had so many people across the country that you can meet. But to have that convention trade show thing, that's pretty unique and pretty cool. Like you guys were honestly the first ones to do it, period. Because when recreational came about, and then you guys saw the opportunity, which didn't realize he connected his hobby with his real job and had a vision. It was cool.
Hasn't worked since.
Yeah. No, yeah. He's happily retired. So
Good on him, though. I always think people's success when they make something, that's the goal, right? You want to make something and just, you did it. Now you don't have to mess with it no more or whatever.
yeah,
Good on
every
him.
once in a while he'll come hit a show and visit with us, but that's about
Cool.
it.
Right on.
Well,
yeah.
what else should we discuss about either the industry or the trade shows?
I know you guys have any questions about
We're going, and so I guess, well, so who's the ideal customer for CannaCon then?
I think who I mostly market to are people who either own a farm, a dispensary, or a processing facility, right? Because then they can come and purchase all of the products that they need to grow their business. And then I also market a lot to people that are home growers, because if you're a home grower and you come walk the show, you're going to go home with tons of free soil samples and nutrient samples and all the things that you need to home grow. And then I think also a lot of people will email me and say, I'm interested in working in the cannabis industry. Would this be something good for me? And I tell them absolutely, because I don't think people understand all of the different jobs you can have in the industry. But when you come walk a show like this and you see the packaging companies and the extraction companies and the edible making equipment, we've got people that work in the candy industry and they come with their molds and their giant vats of copper kettles to cook things down in, and it's just a lot of, I think the industry is so much more than just the plant touching jobs, and I think
Oh yeah.
people don't understand that. I try to always invite to like local politicians to our events because I think it's
Mm.
important for them also to see the business side of the industry, that we're not all just a bunch of potheads that are just hanging out smoking weed all day, right? We run legitimate businesses, we hire people. When the state legalizes, there's so much revenue that comes into that state, even from outside the farms and the dispensaries, because you have lawyers that now will be making money in the cannabis industry. You've got accountants that will be making money in the cannabis industry.
You guys also have like things that you don't really think about, like the sticker label people that show up, and like that's where I learned about Sticker Mule, and then all the other different auxiliary companies that like well they think they have a niche and they can help provide something for everything, like stores, branding, and all the other across the gamut. So you guys do offer a lot. Is there anybody that ever surprised you? Like I said, the Yelp thing surprised me, but like I imagine people are reaching out to you. Is everyone like, holy shit?
Yeah, I think like Sprint and T-Mobile, that was surprising to me. We've got another one that I don't think they're going to be at the New Mexico show, but they're a company based out of Texas and they just barcode things. It's Texas Barcode Systems, and they
Oh,
just put
really?
barcodes on things. And you don't think about it, but every package, every pre-roll, all of that has to have a barcode on it. It's got to get scanned out of the system.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and it has to be compliant. And
Yep.
so it's
Yeah.
there's all sorts of things that you buy when you get into the industry. So many vendors. Just
Yes.
thinking about like, all the people I've helped get licensed, and then now and after they're licensed, and they're coming through all these vendors, and then eventually they start getting operational, and then there's probably a lot of them then,
Yeah.
because stuff breaks. You want to change. You want to stay on top of a trend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting too, even like with the extraction equipment, because now most of it's the solventless extraction, and early
Mhm.
on it was a completely different type of extraction process. And watching the technical side of things grow has been really interesting too.
Oh yeah, you guys have like mini nails showing up, like the rosin presses and everything. So many options of how to manipulate the product, but also how to sell it and how to get involved. And again, it goes from the big buyers to like the small people looking for a job, like seeing opportunities that they can find, and then the educational side.
Yeah, and we try to keep our ticket prices somewhat reasonable so that way we're not really excluding people on price. I know some of the larger shows are pretty expensive to get into.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
We try
Yeah.
to keep it so that everybody can play.
and then that's it. It's all just conjecture, and you're hoping. It's not, none of it's guaranteed, and then it's business.
Yeah.
So
It's business, and
yeah.
it's really difficult to grow in this one because I've met people that have said, "Oh, I got this great idea for a franchise in cannabis." I'm like, "Okay, maybe," but it's so much politics. So let's say you're at a state like New Mexico where it is still open. Sure, but it's got this dual licensing aspect. Like the locality has to want you there and let you there and get you the zoning and allow you to, be operational. And in some jurisdictions like Massachusetts, you need like a host community agreement that says like, there's a contract with you and the city. And so it just can create so many problems if you try to open up that next shop. It's not like opening up an Applebee's.
Oh yeah.
It is.
But
And then even once you're into it, when we're going to a new state, sometimes it's really hard for us to even get a convention center to sign a contract with us because they don't understand what we do. They're afraid of us bringing in a bunch of people that are going to be smoking inside the convention center. They don't understand. They're just, they think they're going to get a bunch of riffraff in there. Every time, the first time we go somewhere, almost every location makes us hire extra security for our first event. And then once we finish the first event, they're like, you guys are fine. And the next time we come, they don't make us pay for extra security because they realize we're, even just in general, like the back to the alcohol. These conventions have these big alcohol conventions, and I'm
Yeah.
sure people are drinking and acting crazy.
Oh yeah.
Guaranteed.
You have the tamest crowd.
It's what are, the stigma. It's, oh, we're inviting the Grateful Dead Fish Show to show up right now, and everybody's gonna be a stinky hippie
Yeah.
and poo on corners. But it's a bunch of established business people, and going to your kind of event, you know, the price point for someone who wants to do a business, entrepreneurship, or someone who's already in the business and wants to buy larger things to support their things. Either way, you're investing in yourself when you buy that ticket just to come and check out everything, right? Like you're trying to invest. If you got to take these opportunities when you can, because it's only so many times you gather a bunch of weed business people in one convention center. And might I add, it gets exhausting walking around all the little aisles because you have so many people there. So it's just like, I'm tired. I just want to stay.
Yeah. It's also nice because a lot of times a lot of people will just go to their local hydro store and buy Fox Farms fertilizer or mammoth microbes or whatever it is that they're using. But at the show, they'll actually get to speak to the representative from Mammoth. So if they have specific questions, they can really pick the experts' brains a little bit at the show and get a better idea of different ways to use those products. And often
Cool.
they're also buying it at
Sure.
low pricing instead of getting that secondary markup that they get at the hydro store. So that
All
helps.
right. Get a more direct contact.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah. Might have to buy some of those Humboldt seeds this time.
Yep. They'll be there.
They have some 45-day finishing time seeds, and I'm like, get the heck out of here. You got to be kidding me.
Neat.
They'll
Like, I
be
want
there.
to see. Like,
Joe Gentry from Gold Crown Seeds, who's been around forever, he'll be there, and he's gonna do, I think, like half off of a bunch of his landrace
Oh my God.
genetics at the show. So
Again, another reason why you got to go because you
Yeah.
get seeds.
yeah,
I'm going to be popping those because I got some. The girls are about 4 to 5 weeks in, so they have another 4 to 5 weeks. And then I'm going to clean the place. And so, like, they'll be like almost ready to harvest. When I get back from CannaCon in New Mexico, it'll be great because I only have a week left. But I'm going to clean it up and then reset the garden because you have to do that. Otherwise, you'll get aphids.
perfect timing. You can get all new seeds for your next planting.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Yay!
we've
And then
got
I hope to meet some clients there or clients that I've already had because I know some are in Albuquerque, but a lot were in Las Cruces. Santa Fe, not so much. They had a very interesting and hyper-local kind of secondary licensing scheme to get into Santa Fe. It was like, wow, this is way more challenging than the state's licensing scheme. But yeah,
of course.
it's how it is. The municipality can control who comes in, and so when you say it's going to be like getting a liquor license, it's going to be like an Applebee's. We'll be able to make a franchise out of it. You're like, no, bro, this is going to be a lot more local politics than you're even aware of right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of states have gone that route, which Michigan is a lot like that too, right? Detroit is finally allowing recreational dispensaries.
Yeah, like they have lawsuits, and this is an open market state purportedly, but Detroit is just finally starting to get adult use dispensaries in it, as they had so many medical dispensaries, and then they had this little what was it, Detroit legacy license, something like that. They tried to roll out lawsuits all over the place, and so now I think because that was a couple of years ago. Now I think they've ironed out a lot of those lawsuits to allow for the licensing to move forward. But boy, that took 2 years or 2.5.
Yeah, because when we travel to Detroit, it's always been a thing with our team because we get to Detroit and we're like, "Where's the dispensary?" And it's like, "Oh, there's not one."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's all medical. It's
Yeah.
all medical. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you got a guy, no guy.
Yeah.
In
Or
Detroit.
I don't even think, because I have my medical cert in Illinois. A lot of states don't have reciprocity of medical conditions. So if you're a patient and you get out of your state, good luck.
Well, it's just a piece of paper at the end. But it would be nice if they accepted it. Washington took forever. They never had a a program that was like accepted. Everybody had their own different piece of paper, and it's about what is the justified your defense. It's all about. I was trying to go by the rules,
Yeah.
but look at the rules. The rules are all jacked up. Nothing's consistent or laid out properly or whatever. Which, I think which if you guys going to each different state and hosting these little events, that's the thing is you're still going against the stigma, right? The consumption thing where they think like, why this looks dangerous? This looks like a put him. Watch out, he's got a joint or a bomb.
Oh
I don't.
no.
But to
Yeah.
simply get together like that, opposed to, oh, we can chug beer all day and call it a beer garden.
And I like to have a drink. I have
Yeah.
nothing against it. I'm just saying it shouldn't be any different. I think
No.
there shouldn't be that stigma against it. And I think for most people, and I think you guys have, I'm sure, seen it too over the years, like it really has relaxed a lot. I think people are really coming around and feeling a little better about it,
They
especially
are,
once
but
it
like
is.
you still see the headline puns a lot,
You do.
where like you can't have any reputable news periodical publish a story, which of course is going to have a headline, without it being some silly pun about
Yeah.
weed. And so when that goes away, I think new brew pub opens. That's not going to be the headline you're going to see. You're going to see questions remain hazy. And you're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to think of the pun would be when it federally legalizes, like United States gets a hit or something. I don't know.
I think it's going to be great, but I still think, as we're only about 23 in, I think it's going to be similar, in my opinion, to like legalizing an amendment or passing an amendment. It takes 38 states, like 2/3. And as a
Okay.
result, I could see us going deep into like 30 states, maybe before 38 states. But Florida, I think, and Texas, if we could get them, Florida's pretty close already, but it's only medical. And so they have a round that's just closed as well with Texas. Texas doesn't have an industry. If there was an industry there in Texas and there was people that had some skin in the game and some money on the line, sure. But the lobbying dollars are hard to come by.
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, it's so slow to get anything done because once again we meet every other year, and
And
then
you only pay your legislatures $7,500 a year.
yes, and it's
That is 1/10. And actually, the legislatures in Illinois might have just voted themselves a raise. It is probably less than 1/10 of what we pay our representatives here.
yeah, it's crazy.
Damn. That's crazy. Didn't know
And
that.
the process is really difficult to pass anything here because even if it passes the House and then it passes the Senate, then it has to go to, I don't remember what they call it, but some other group, they have to discuss it. And then it goes to Dan Patrick, and Dan Patrick doesn't like weed at all. So it's really hard to get anything past him.
Who's Dan Patrick?
He's our lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And it goes to him, and he's very churchy, and he just thinks that weed is the devil. And
But
I
they're
see.
losing so much money, though.
We
That's-
need to lobby the churches. That's
Yes.
how we do it. Yeah.
that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I would bet you that probably 50% of the people at these churches either have consumed, or would benefit from consuming cannabis.
100%.
But yet they don't. Which
Yeah.
just goes to show. Remember
But-
when you meet people out there,
But
they
there's
might
you
not
know,
be too smart.
there's Delta 8 and Delta 9 now in CBD stores and gas stations on every corner here. And that's what people here are consuming. And it's very unregulated. And probably half of it has got Lord knows what kind of chemical compounds in it to get that extraction from the hemp plant.
Yeah. But that's proving the ignorance in Texas, too, right? Like, or reinforcing, like, they just don't understand the damn plant still. Well,
Yeah.
you have this. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the same, man.
It literally
Right.
is not the same.
Yeah.
But they don't get that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm totally stoked to be heading out, though, to New Mexico. I don't think I've ever been there. And
Same.
let's see.
Yeah,
Let's not
I
to
just
become an exhibitor. Let's go to right there, West Albuquerque.
All
yeah,
right.
I just spent a whole week driving around New Mexico. It was beautiful. I went up through El Paso into Las Cruces and then up to Albuquerque. And then I went up to Santa Fe and up to Taos. I talked to a ton of people at a bunch of different dispensaries. And
Wow, that's a lot of vendors.
It's a lot of vendors. We're going to be checking them
busy.
out.
Gonna be busy.
E-bottles, we're coming to see you. Elevate Seeds. See you there. Heavy 16, powered by Hydro Farm. I bet that's got some hydro issues. Nice.
Shit.
Think about all the people we could find that might want to be on a guest and talk about their thing.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sure you'll be able to find lots of people that you can interview there. I know we've got, I think, 7 or 8 different seed companies at this one. So you should be able to find any kind of genetics that you could possibly want.
Nice.
That's amazing. And then, Miggy, do you have anything for the dispensaries? Because Miggy and I might randomly win a dispensary. It's a 9% chance.
So there's 7 Point Interiors, and they do beautiful dispensary interiors. They're
very cool.
Beautiful. And then we've got a couple of the POS systems. I think usually Kova software. There's a couple, 3 different trees. A couple of the different dispensary software companies will probably be there.
Cool. Exciting. We can lay out our plan.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yes,
hey, let's.
Great. They really every time I see their booth, it's just gorgeous. I'm like, okay, I would go.
And then, are you going to be there as well?
I will be there.
Sweet.
Awesome. We're going to see you in a few weeks. And then we're also definitely going to make sure to stop at, Tom's Tumble Trimmer. Checking that out. Be like, you called it the Tom's Tumble Trimmer. What is that?
Yep. Tom's been around for a long time. He's actually based out of Washington State, I do believe, as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it then.
Tom's been exhibiting with us since probably the first CannaCon.
Nice.
Back in 2014.
Yeah. It's really fun. So many of these people exhibit with us at almost all of our events and have been for years. So it's almost like seeing family when you see everybody. They all come to check in and set up their booths.
But there's something to it, though. If they're reoccurring every year, sales. They're making sales, or else they wouldn't be wasting your time.
Yeah, that's what I always say. You don't think about it that much, but in any industry, business to business expo is just one of the better ways to get your product out there in front of a whole lot of people that are the buyer for your product.
All those locals out there.
Yep.
Yeah. So like pizza, I'm sure there's a pizza trade show.
Yeah, there is a pizza trade show. When we were in Chicago doing our Chicago show, the pizza trade show was going on in the expo hall.
Damn it. That's one of those ones where I'm like, sorry, CannaCon. I'll walk through, but I got to go eat some pizza. Yeah. That's great.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Good job.
That smelled great in there. It smelled like tomatoes.
Yeah, but there we go. And so, was it legal for those those exhibitors to cook a pie on the floor? And it was like, oh, you can't light a joint. And of course, there's laws against smoking in public. I guess that's the whole thing. That Smoke-Free Act of what? When did the Smoke-Free Act even pass? That's been like 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time ago.
Tobacco, though. It's only tobacco.
No, the way they define it, cannabis is very often caught up in it.
Oh, was it? Is it? I didn't realize that. Maybe it's Washington State I'm thinking of, because we had all these lounges here, and they're like, well, we're working around the rules because it's not tobacco or some shit. I don't know. Everybody has their stance. Everybody thinks they're a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York had several consumption lounges. When we did our New York event, there were several consumption lounges, and I wasn't really sure how they worked that, but.
Neat.
New York, I think New York, they just don't do anything by the rules.
Probably.
Yeah. So it's been 15 years since the Smoke-Free Act in my state's passed. It's not necessarily a federal act, though.
Oh.
And so each state is encouraged to adopt it by the American Lung Association.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know of any place other than maybe Las Vegas that you could still smoke inside anywhere. So.
Yeah. No, any reservations? I know some casinos here.
Yeah.
It's not America.
But they have really good circulation.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
I need to end this one though because I got stuff to do. But I am looking forward to going to New Mexico. I am looking forward to meeting more people. Hopefully, I'll be able to breathe there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time, though. It'll be nice to meet you guys in person.
Same.
Cool. And then if you guys want to meet us, there's a link down there, and you can buy your ticket to CannaCon. Some of our viewers are actually from New Mexico. Not all of them, but when we have the title New Mexico in this and I do an email push, the ones that are out there hopefully get it, and we'll check them out.
Yeah, buddy.
I wait to see everybody.
All right.
Same.
Nice and
meeting
then
you.
it's 4:20 somewhere, so we're going to leave you with a small interlude.